Welcome to the Yankee Football Podcast, episode 13. AFCON 2021, or I guess also 2022, just finished. The Senegalese national team has defeated the Pharaohs in a penalty shootout. Sadio Mané, the main man himself, delivers the winning goal. I don't know, man. The final, I think there were some good elements to the game, and there were some not so great things about it. I mean,
yep.
Give me your general thoughts of just this last match between Mané and Salah.
Well, it's interesting that you put it Mané and Salah, because I felt those guys were pretty muted, for the most part in this final, especially Salah. He did have that one good shot, and I believe the first half, right in the right upper corner, that Mendy had a good save on. And then Salah with this pen in the first half, which he should have put away.
You mean Mané?
Yeah, isn't that what I said?
You said Salah's pen, but
oh,
you meant Sadio Mané's pen. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Mané's pen in the first half that he should have put away. Overall, once again, questionable refereeing from the AFCON refs. I don't know. I mean, he seemed very card happy, in the first half, and then the second half, he forgot that he had them in his pocket.
Yeah, there were several challenges, especially on the Egyptian side. I was like, "Oh, this man's gone."
Yeah,
and the ref
it was straight slide tackles from the back, and then the dude.
Oh yeah.
And then the ref walks over and he smiles at him. He's like, "Yeah, you good?"
Yeah.
And
He's
then meanwhile,
right, you only got 5
yeah.
more warnings, and then maybe I'm gonna have to pull out this red. So
exactly.
Keep being physical.
That was strange. That was like Sunday League shit.
Yeah, there was one point where Mané got slide tackled by 2 guys at the same time, and they missed his ankle by inches. I mean, it could have been a career-ending tackle if those guys collided. Fortunately, they both missed. But after I saw that, I was like, I think the foul was called, but no card was given. I was thinking, dude, they could have taken this man's leg off.
Yeah.
But overall, the Egyptians were very physical the entire game, I thought. And they've been like that the whole tournament. I don't know. But I presented it as Salah versus Mané because that's how the media's been talking about it. Every single promo picture for this final was the 2 Liverpool guys. And like you pointed out, interestingly enough, Mané misses the penalty, which I found out was his 4th missed penalty at AFCON. So
really?
Maybe it's time for someone else to start taking these pens. I mean, he seems like he's good. He's good when he goes to penalty kicks, but during the game, maybe have somebody else step up and do it. 4 misses in 3 tournaments. That's quite a lot. I don't even know if he's shooting 50% from the penalty spot, which you'd have to expect is bare minimum.
Yeah.
What did you think about Egypt's style of play, not just in this final, but throughout the entire tournament?
It was they seemed very cautious. I feel like, especially in this game, they seemed very cautious, and unfortunately, I don't have the best memory of them in future games, especially the group stage. I could barely remember how they played back then. But I would imagine it was similar, where it's just kind of a boring, cautious, dare I say, park the bus type mentality, where it's like they're trying to go for extra time or they're trying to go for pins, and I especially felt that during this game. I was like, yeah, no, they're just kicking it up, or they're hoping for a freak one-on-one with Salah and the opposing goalkeeper. I mean, it didn't really seem like there was a lot of, tiki-taka or any sort of real possession type football. It was more just like, let's just make sure that they don't score on us, and then we'll figure it out on how to score, as we get into their final third.
Pretty much. And you would have to say that if that was the strategy, it worked, considering every single one of their games went into extra time.
Yeah.
Which is
insane. I think that they could do that because of their goalkeeper, Gabaski. I mean, that dude was on fire. And
Yeah.
just
He won
having
the end of the match, actually, for this final.
I mean,
they
shit,
lost, which he
shit, I
deserved.
believe it. Yeah, no, he played lights out, and I think I texted you during the game. I was all like, I hope this man earns a call-up into Europe. Unfortunately, he's 33, so I doubt that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he goes to, like, the Turkish league or something for a year or two, signs, like, a little mini contract. I mean, that'd be kind of cool,
I don't know.
He played amazingly well, though.
Yeah, you could see maybe somebody who says we need a backup goalkeeper that we can rely on. 33, even for a keeper that's not ancient by any means. Right. I mean, that guy's like, usually that's when they're going into their prime. It's like early 30s. So who knows? We'll see, because that guy was getting all the praise, and rightfully so. Just when I think about Egypt, this entire tournament reminded me so much of when Greece won the Euros in 2004. And basically, the tactic was, like you said, park the bus, pray to God that we get one goal off a set piece, and concede possession every single game. And that's what the Egyptians did over and over again. And I think it kind of exposed one of the problems with AFCON and a lot of these teams is very, very few teams have the technical ability and the tactics to break down these low blocks.
Right.
I mean, I think it was you sent a text. It was like Senegal has gone full Greg ball, just whipping in crosses into the box.
Yeah, just from anywhere. If you're on the Egyptian half of the side of their field, just cross it in. No matter where. It was like some FIFA shit that you would do when you're like, yeah, our guys are more superior in the air, which, I mean, they weren't.
Yeah.
They
were losing almost every single one.
Oh, easily, yeah.
I think I saw them win a couple, maybe off a corner.
The set pieces, what'd you think about the set pieces overall from both teams?
Egypt looked more dangerous, but Senegal was abysmal.
I don't know if they hired Man U's set piece coach, but they were fucking trash at set pieces, which is weird because I feel like that should be one of their strong points because, when I think of Senegal, I think of a bunch of, athletic dudes out there that are most likely taller than average, than who they're playing against, and they suck ass in the air, or they're like terrible placed balls where it's like, okay, no one can get this.
Yeah. I think the main problem with the African teams is that the delivery of the ball itself. Because I feel like if the ball's okay, they do a decent job of connecting with it. Mm-hmm. But the amount of corners that don't even clear the first man, or they just sail over everybody, or hit the side netting in AFCON is crazy. I don't know. You did correctly predict that the Senegalese were going to win the tournament, so shout out to you, I suppose, going with the conservative safe pick. I thought it was surprising this is Senegal's first ever AFCON.
Really?
They've never won before.
I definitely thought the announcers were saying that they won. They've gone to the final before, though, right? And they lost on pens. Is that what happened?
No, the last final they lost to Algeria, and they lost off a goal in like the opening. That was
last AFCON. I thought that they went to a final before that though.
Oh, so this was their third final. I don't know if it was their third final or not, but first one they've actually walked away with the trophy. So you kind of like to see that. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't rooting for Senegal during the penalty shootout. And even through the game, they dominated the ball. They had the better chances. There were probably two times where Salah kind of scared me a little bit. Mendy came up with some big saves. But I don't know. I mean, it's tactically the Egyptians are very, very solid. And this is why I thought that they were going to beat Ivory Coast in the group stage because they're just tough to break down. And I don't see a team that doesn't have a good midfield being able to do that. And they stunted every single team that they came up against. It's ugly football. It's hideous to watch. It's so boring. I'm not looking forward to watching Egypt in the World Cup if they make it to the World Cup because they have to beat Senegal to make it there. So that's just crazy that these guys are going to have to play each other again in an incredibly high-stakes game. I mean, your two matches against Senegal are going to be for the AFCON trophy and your ticket to Qatar, which is
crazy.
insane. I mean, the Liverpool locker room is about to split into open rebellion after that game is finished, especially if Senegal wins again. Oh, my gosh. And Salah's like, you stole everything I loved. You took it from me. I mean, how do you come back from that? That's like, I don't know.
So if you're Klopp, what would you do if they started fighting in the locker room?
I don't know.
Would you say
no idea.
Would you look up into the locker room and be like, that's Henderson's problem? That's one of the older guys. Yeah, just fix it for me.
I have no idea. That would be.
Or do you think he daps up Mane and he's like, yo, good job, and then like he nut taps Salah and he's like, yo, what the fuck?
He probably calls a team meeting and is like, at least we all know who the best player is now. And then he looks at Mane and starts clapping. That's probably what happens.
Huh.
So, either way, it's about to be majorly toxic in that locker room after that World Cup qualifying game. I wanted to also start talking about the tournament overall. So, this is our first AFCON that we've really paid attention to from the start. On a scale of 1 to 10, after this edition, how excited and how much are you looking forward to the next AFCON tournament?
I'd say a 6 out of 10.
Why is that?
Well, I felt, for me, the games picked up steam as they progressed through the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of those group stage matches are so boring, completely forgettable, and I mean, I don't know if that's a product of the teams in the group stages are just worse, you know, and that they don't really stand a chance against some of these more powerhouse countries, or if it's like what Connor, you and I have talked about before, where they're going in there completely blind, essentially, you know, and rusty, and they're just playing shitty football just because, like, you know, they haven't played as a national team, you know, for very long before that, or I guess practiced. So
I do want to get into that later a little bit about our expectations now watching AFCON and like how we think these African teams are gonna do at that tournament.
Right. I think, based off what I remember, historically, AFCON has had a lot of winners in the past. You know, it seems like a lot of different countries have won at least once. Yeah. You know, so I think that's
part of the appeal and excitement.
Yeah, that is part of the appeal for me as well, and it's, you know, a lot more unique than any of the other continental cups that occur. You know, because I mean, like, yeah, for Euros, you can kind of figure like what golden generation is gonna, you know, go far in that, and
I mean, same with South America.
Yeah, same with South America in a way, and you know, the Gold Cup for CONCACAF is, you know, pretty much between 3 or 4
Mexico,
teams. Anyway.
US, in the final.
Yeah, exactly. Which maybe it's Canada, but them
Some
boys
Jamaican
are going to go
guy
down.
just commented right now. Was like, actually, we beat the US in a semifinal. Yeah, we know.
Yeah,
we know. But typically, it is the US versus Mexico, and that is exciting about AFCON. Is it's absolute chaos. I mean, the and I think that's a big pro of the competition. But Egypt, you know, stank it up in the group stage. Awful. Lost to Nigeria in the first game. I think they drew their second game, looking like they were down and out, and then they somehow squeak in to the knockout stages and end up in the final. Have 2 penalty shootouts, all 4 games going to extra time. Another team, Burkina Faso, a team that some people had expectations for, didn't look that good in the group stage. People were thinking, oh, they might bounce out early. End up getting to the 3rd place match. They go up 3-0 at halftime. Then they let Cameroon score 3 in the second half and lose on penalties. So it's like this tournament is just like, I mean, it is insane how some of these teams. It's only, you know, the games are only 4 days apart, 5 days apart. Looks like a completely different squad sometimes. like Senegal. Usually they looked shit through this tournament. But there were a couple games, in the semifinal, that it was like, oh, man, they showed up today. This is the Senegal we've been waiting for. And then it was back to just boring, slow, no clinical finishing in front of goal. But that's kind of cool because you don't know what you're going to get, It's not many – it's not like in the Copa America you're going to see a ton of upsets. You might see, Peru upset Brazil, which has happened. But that's pretty goddamn rare. You're not going to see a final where it's Ecuador versus Paraguay. That's just not going to happen because, Argentina or Brazil, they're going to make it to the final. Colombia or somebody's probably going to be in the semis. It's a little more tame. I think the barriers and the difference in quality are more stark in the other continents. In AFCON, even though at the start of the tournament we said, I had Morocco, you had Senegal. I think Morocco's a better team than Egypt, but they're not as tactically strong. And how much better are they than Egypt? It's probably, the differences between some of these teams, between like the worst team in the tournament and the winners, Senegal, it's really not that extreme, at least in my opinion.
No, I think that's spot on. And you can see that with how far Burkina Faso went, like you said. Like, shit, I think I had them losing out in group stage, Just based off the fact that I couldn't name a single damn player on the team.
Yeah.
But they went all the way to the third place match, That's a big accomplishment, I feel, for any continental cup.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Another example is of the unpredictability of the tournament is Ghana getting knocked out in the group stage. Like, that, the equivalent to that is like, I don't know, U.S. not making out of the group stage in the Gold Cup or something.
U.S. not qualifying for the World Cup? Same
making it out of the group stage of yeah. But it's we're talking about the second most successful team ever in the tournament, and they get slapped up. I don't even remember who they lost to. Was it Equatorial Guinea or Comoros? It was Comoros.
Yeah.
They get slapped up by Comoros. That
in
just
their first
doesn't
tournament
really
ever,
happen.
Right?
In their first tournament ever, when like half their team had COVID.
Yeah.
So that part of AFCON was beautiful. What would you say is the biggest negative? I think you just say a con, I'll say a con, and let's just keep this going so we can't really name anything else negative about the tournament. You go
con?
first. Con/disappointment. We can put them together.
We've brushed on a few. I think it's generally, I'd say, on average, more of a boring style of play, which I feel like the stereotype in my mind, it should actually be more aggressively, like an offensive mindset. Like I'm expecting 5-4, type score lines. Just like no back line, like the keeper is just like sleeping in between the sticks, doesn't even try to use his hands, just like screamers, across the way. And, there's a lot of like 1-0 type stuff, or, like Egypt, you go to pins, 4 times or extra time 4 times,
Yeah, like I think Egypt had 2 goals the whole tournament from open play.
Yeah, like talk about a snooze fest, in my opinion.
Yeah. So that's how many games? 7 games, you had 2 goals.
Yeah.
That's trash.
That is.
But they won on penalties. Yeah, that's actually funny you say that. Apparently, this stat might not be true, but I saw it circulating on Twitter. 50% of all the games in this AFCON ended 1-0. And the average goals per game was 1.6.
That, to me, is too low for AFCON. And maybe this is just like an ignorant, thing that I don't know enough about the history of AFCON where, maybe that is normal for games to go 0-0 or 1-0 and for it to go to pens. But, just seeing some of the offensive talent on these teams is, I was expecting more goals.
Yeah, I don't think that type of stereotype is necessarily negative. I think when we think about African football, we think about like sauce and swag and these teams that are stacked in the front three, and then their back fours have nobody in it.
Yeah.
And so you expect these talented front threes to be able to rip these guys to shreds. And, most of the goalkeepers, Gabaski aside, Mendy aside, even Onana wasn't very good for Cameroon. I mean, it's usually horrendous. And so you expect, a 3-1. You expect a 3-2. I don't even know. Did anybody even score 4 goals in the game? I can't remember off the top of my head. It probably happened once. But you do expect more saucy, free-flowing soccer.
Once.
And a lot of the times it looked like lack of tactics, lack of ideas, just putting balls in the box when you're thinking about the guys up top for these African teams. It's like, is this crossing style of play? Is this really what you should be doing? Shouldn't you be a little more direct? Shouldn't you be attacking from the center of the pitch, not from the wings? But yeah, I mean, it's not really a con of the tournament, but certainly a disappointment. I thought there would be a little more swag, a little more sauce in some of the games, especially some of the bigger teams like Nigeria. Really disappointing with how they play. Ivory Coast with that attacking talent. I mean, goodness gracious. It's just, and maybe our expectations were too high, and that's fine. We will gladly admit that. This is our first real AFCON, and so we will temper those expectations for the next edition. What did you think? Because this is a big problem I had with this tournament. And a lot of people talk about, why is AFCON disrespected? Why is it not as popular? My possibly hot take is one of the reasons for this is the presentation of the tournament is dog shit. The commentary is the worst commentary of any football I've ever watched in my entire life. It sounds like a freaking safari. It doesn't sound like a football game. Like, the guy seems like it's like he's reading a spoken word or something like that. There's no emotion in his voice. Even when a team scores, it's like, oh, great shot from Abubakar. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, act excited, bro. It's so boring and tame. And I'm like, you think AFCON, you think swag. I want to hear some colorful commentary. Not this boring ass, I don't know who the commentators are for beIN Sports. Terrible, man. Terrible. It puts you to sleep. And, especially when a game isn't fast-paced and it's slow, that's when the commentator can make it really interesting. And every game, it was like, please, can somebody else comment this game? I'm about to start watching it on mute because this guy is so boring.
Yeah, I agree.
Nobody wants to watch that.
Whenever we watched at your place on beIN Sports, it was terrible.
It's horrendous.
I mean, it was like I was listening to an audiobook, for a sleep study.
Facts. Yes.
Honestly, it was like he was reading off a script, like you said. Yeah. Today I actually watched a Sky Sports stream, and they had 2 commentators. I think 2 African dudes, actually. I think one of them was actually Sol Bamba, who just destroyed Man U on pens this past week, and he won the AFCON, I think, and so he actually had some colorful commentary for the Sky Sports broadcast that I was watching.
Then so maybe I should preface, I only watched every single game on beIN Sports because we have Fubo
which is weird
TV.
That these networks, I guess, wouldn't try to emulate each other in that way where I don't know if Sky Sports is just, maybe it's just, as Americans, we don't know which one's better. Which one has the better commentators, because in the US, I feel, whenever Fox has an NFL game, or whenever all these other networks have our pro-American sports over here, we know who's going to give good commentary based off what the network is,
Yeah, and we kind of have also the ability to choose sometimes depending on the game, at least in the NBA. Every single team has their own commentators that only commentate their game. So if you just want to watch the Cleveland Cavaliers, you can do that every single time if you have the Fox Sports Ohio package or whatever. But with Fubo TV and beIN Sports, they don't really give you an option. And that's kind of annoying to hear that Sky Sports had 2 commentators because beIN Sports only has 1. So there's not even any discussion during the game. It's just one guy sipping tea talking about Oh, great save from
Yeah.
Gaboski.
Yeah, so
He's played very well this tournament. That's literally how the guy talks. I'm like,
Yeah.
shut up. Oh, my God. Somebody kick this man off the mic. We need to start being the commentators of this game. It's ridiculous. Like, there would be a save, and I would, like, scream, you know, because Gaboski had some insane saves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd just be like, oh! And then the freaking commentator would be like, corner for Senegal. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? I'm like, you didn't even say
Just
anything
say
about
it.
that save. I'm like, come on. Oh. And yeah, it kills the immersion. Like, it slaughters it for me. And, you know, I think if African guys actually commentated the tournament, that would make it better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it'd be kind of weird if you turn on the Copa America and the two commentators are like Japanese Americans and they have like really thick accents. It'd be like, okay, I mean, if y'all are good
That's
commentators,
fine.
you're
Yeah.
good commentators, but it would be a little more immersive if the guys were Latino.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, we're watching AFCON. That's what we want to see. It's African football. It's African culture. So why does the commentary and the coverage not reflect that? They got a good theme song. That was cool. They got some good graphics and stuff. But the commentary on beIN Sports, I've never been so disappointed in my entire life. You guys let us know in the comments if, like, beIN Sports is always this terrible, because we just recently got Fubo TV. I really hope not, or I gotta cancel the subscription. I can't do this. I might as well watch on mute from now on. Well, what are we talking about right now? Are we talking about cons? Yeah, that
Still cons.
Sorry, I had a lot to say about that because it was game in, game out, just killed it for me. How do you feel about the refereeing throughout the tournament? Would you say it was that a pro or a con for you?
Well, I think watching the U.S. over the years, very reminiscent of CONCACAF referees. Just like, you know, you pull out your card a few times and then the dudes are actually kicking the shit out of each other and you're like, play on, you know? Or it's like we were talking about earlier, you know, like 15, 20 minutes ago where, you know, obvious fouls from the back, obvious, like, almost career-ending injuries, and
It's like no-brainer yellows.
Yeah, and the ref's like, no card.
Yeah.
Just like, immediately goes for he's just like, yep, no.
Yeah. He accidentally pulls out like the water cash he got before the game. He's like, oh shit, let me put that back. Here's the actual yellow. Sometimes I prefer that style of refereeing. Other times I don't. I guess it depends on which team I want to win. What do you think about the home side? I wanted to talk about this Cameroon because they finished third, as you know, after that remarkable comeback in the third place game. But these guys had the easiest goddamn AFCON of any team that I think I've ever seen. The hardest team they played was Egypt, and they lost on penalties. That was it. Their group was not good. Their first round matchup was not good. Their quarterfinals was not good. Then they play Burkina Faso, who's from their group again, in the third place match. And so I feel like, this is my theory, that the Cameroonians might get a little bit of a big head from this, because they're like, hey, no, we only lost on penalties to Egypt. We're actually really good. And from watching the tournament and watching their games and all the teams, I thought they were pretty boring and pretty lackluster.
Yeah, I think, I mean, they had a pretty good game against, what was that group stage game? They destroyed someone. Ethiopia, maybe?
Yeah, they destroyed Ethiopia.
Yeah, and I mean, I can appreciate that they scored a lot of goals. At least, I mean, I don't know if you're trying to imply that, like, they rigged the tournament or something.
No. I'm not implying that they rigged the tournament. Just when the brackets came out, I was like, wait a minute. They're pretty much floating to the semifinals.
I think they got a lucky draw, definitely, just based off their group. I mean, and losing to Egypt, I mean, Egypt, I would imagine, had already decided that they were going to go to pens, and that's how they were going to win that game. They just had to stop Cameroon in open play and then just go to pens.
Yeah.
As far as Cameroon getting a big head from this, I mean, to be honest, this might be a hot take, but I feel every African team that goes into World Cup, they always have a big head.
Big head is in their fan bases think they're going to do really well.
That, and I feel the players are like, yeah, we can match up against, Argentina.
Maybe this is a good time to talk about it. Do you see any African team from this tournament doing anything at Qatar?
I don't know. It's hard to say without seeing all the team, without seeing everyone who's qualified, in there. Like I feel I could give a much better consensus on what teams from each continent are going to do well and which ones aren't. Based off AFCON 2021, I mean, Senegal maybe, but. I mean, they'll get shredded by someone who actually has
what
tactics.
gives you confidence in Senegal? Because I think this is probably the flattest. Right. I mean, in terms of meeting expectations, they were flat in pretty much every single game. They did win, and they deserve credit for that, and they deserve praise for that. But you're not going to be playing this quality of competition in Qatar. And so I look at how kind of dysfunctional they looked at times, and I'm thinking. They need a favorable group, I think, to do anything in the World Cup.
Yeah, I say Senegal and whoever else from Africa qualifies. I think they are going to be in a run of trouble in Qatar, because I think I have now seen, watching our first AFCON, that they play a different style of football over there that. I feel it's not very tactically sound for the most part, and if it is tactics, it's more of a cautious and, defensive minded, which is weird, goes against my stereotype of them. But, I mean, how are they going to counter against the Belgians? Like, they're going to get fucking destroyed by the Belgians. Or, like, shit, even Iceland from last World Cup? Or from last World Cup?
The Euros.
Euros, yeah. They would, I think, murk all these teams.
You think Iceland would murk these teams? Iceland would have won AFCON.
I think Iceland would win 2-1 against Senegal in the AFCON final.
That's the hottest goddamn take I've ever heard. Really?
What, you don't think so?
I think Iceland get clapped.
Really?
Yes. First off, okay, if we're talking about that Euro Iceland team, they were good in that Euros. They've been shit ever since. And second, what? Okay, this doesn't make any sense. I feel like you just contradicted yourself. You said Senegal might be able to do something at the World Cup, but they lose to Iceland 2-1. Because Iceland would get slaughtered at the World Cup.
You think?
Yeah, I think they get slaughtered. Who would they beat? Let's think about the teams who have qualified right now. I don't even think they're better than Canada. I think Canada beat Iceland right now. I think South Korea beat Iceland right now. Japan and Saudi Arabia probably beat Iceland right now.
Okay, maybe I inflated. Budge, bro. Maybe I inflated Iceland a little too much.
That's disrespectful. That's not even banter at that point. That's just a diss.
So you think
Iceland beating Senegal?
So you think Canada would beat?
How do they score these goals? How do they score these goals? Open play? They're going to beat Koulibaly in the air.
I'd say
hell no. He's shutting them down. This is outrageous. Your pick to win AFCON and the actual winners losing to fucking Iceland. And didn't you also say that the U.S. is making it to the semifinals in our video?
No,
I don't think we're beating these teams.
I think I said that they should shoot for making the semis if they want to keep growing and if they want to keep growing the sport. I mean, like, the U.S. can't crash out of group stages, and they need to get past round of 16 in the World Cup.
The Senegalese fans going ballistic right now in the comments. Unbelievable. I think U.S. does fuck all at this tournament. Look, the U.S. could barely break down El Salvador's low block. They're not breaking down Egypt. It's not happening. Also, El Salvador has no attack. What are we going to do when Serginho Dest is isolated one-on-one with Salah? He's getting fried like some shrimp, dude.
You think?
You think he's locking up Salah?
No. I mean, there's not a lot of people that can lock him up. Not one-on-one.
The Senegalese back line, not one-on-one, but they did really well today, for the most part.
They did lock Salah up. But I would say it was never a one-on-one situation. It was always a 2v1. Which, I mean, that's how you got to box him out, I feel like. You're still thinking about Iceland, aren't you?
I just can't even believe that. That's just like, oh my gosh. So, Iceland is like a shit European team. They're shit. They're not, bro, I don't even think they beat Burkina Faso.
Really?
Bro, Bertrand Traore burns them on the counter.
Shit, let's look up these fucking FIFA rankings.
Don't look up the rankings.
Wait.
U.S. is like 10th on there. No chance. Oh my gosh. We have to have a whole episode about this because I can't let this stand.
U.S. is 11th right now.
Absolute joke.
They're ranked higher than Germany.
Nah, man. We get spanked 4-1.
Germany's 12.
We get spanked 4-1 by the Germans right now.
Yeah, Mexico's 14.
That's also way too high. 30th at best.
Senegal's 20.
Honestly, I'm not mad about that.
Iran is 21.
They're good. Iran is really good.
Morocco's 28.
Look, Morocco is a better team than Egypt. They should have beaten the Egyptians, but they didn't because, well, one, you could argue they didn't call up Hakim Ziyech, and they needed that creative guy to break down this Egyptian low block, which was a really fucking difficult thing to do that no African teams proved to be able to do. Not even Senegal, the winners of this tournament, could break down that low block. So that was Morocco's downfall. It was Hakimi, their right back, is their playmaker, which just you're asking him to do too much. It's too much. Morocco, man, I feel like they feel hard done by because I think they would have destroyed Cameroon. Egypt, man, Egypt is just a team you don't want to play, including the U.S., including Iceland, including anybody. Nobody wants to play Egypt. They're just annoying.
Damn, Iceland is pretty low. Yeah. It took me a long time to find them. 62.
Before we just keep up with these asinine predictions. Let's conclude by talking about Mane versus Salah, because you know that this is going to be talked about a lot. Do you think that both players helped their cases in this tournament?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, I yanked out my microphone cord.
Oh, I said, do you think that Salah and Mane... Salah.
I know that it's too easy. Their names are interchangeable. I feel like.
Yeah, it's way too close. Do you think they both helped their cases as individual players during this tournament, or do you think one of them or both of them kind of went down a notch?
I think they both play differently for their nation than they do for Liverpool. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the end product of who is playing around them. You know, at Liverpool, they have world-class distribution. They always get great balls. They basically, all they need to do is cut inside and finish, I feel like, or beat their man one-on-one. During AFCON, it seemed like they were the distributors, even though they were both playing on wings. Or, you know, sole strikers up top. I mean, like, they'd be, like, in the midfield, like, passing up or, like, playing defense, you know? And just because, like, I think maybe they are stars and they care a little bit more. I mean, I don't want to say that, but, like, they have more to lose, I feel, if they don't do well.
For their country.
Yeah, because they have... both their fellow countrymen and everyone in the world has higher expectations for them based off how they do in club versus, some random Egypt, international that plays in Egypt.
What would you give? Give me a letter grade for both players. What would you say for the tournament?
I'd say both B's.
B's? Okay.
Yeah. Like, I didn't think they had stellar performances overall. Like, if they were, like, an A or an A plus to me would be, like, they were the only guys scoring, for their countries. And they were scoring, like, every game or every other game.
Yeah. I think I would give Salah a B- and Mane a B. And the reason I give him the slight edge is because Egypt is not where they are right now because of Mo Salah. They're there because their backline and Gabaski played out of their minds this tournament. Mane actually was a pretty good facilitator for Senegal. I think he would indisputably probably get a B+ if he scores that penalty in this game in the first half. Because he missed that, he goes down a little bit for me personally. And without him in the offense, Senegal don't really do much. And that's not really Salah's fault, but Egypt doesn't really have possession that much. So their whole game plan, like we've been saying, was just boot the ball to him and pray to God that he can beat 3 defenders off the dribble and get a shot away.
Right.
So he's not really in a position and in a team and a formation to excel like Mane is for Senegal. Senegal's having the ball a lot. Like we've said, they play up the wings almost exclusively. So he's getting a lot of touches with a lot of bodies around him, friendly bodies around him that he can lay the ball off to. Salah, best case, it's like a 3-on-4, and they're still down a man on a counter, and he's having to beat at least one person to set somebody up. Mane's getting in a lot more of these like 2-on-1, 3-on-2 opportunities. And Senegal's a better team. They're a better team than Egypt. Egypt's structurally sound as a brick, though. Like, they are just impossible to break down. And they've been like that for a while. And once it started working in the round of 16, I kind of had a feeling like, dude, they're just going to ride this. Now it's in all the players' heads. They're like, yep, nobody can score against us. We're just gonna go and keep doing this and ride it all the way to the final. And we're happy to win 3 games in penalties. That's fine with us.
So I think Egypt, and you keep mentioning it, how like cohesive they are, and how much they play as one single unit is that's due to them. And I had to look this up because I was curious. Only 2 or 3 of their players on the whole national team roster play in Europe. The rest of them play in Egypt. So they probably see each other, play with each other all the time, which I feel is different than Senegal, because a lot of those players play in Europe, but they play in different countries. And probably the only time that they actually play together is for these tournaments. So it's always like it's the case between, you have a team of all-stars, like can you make them be better than the guys that always play together. I think we see that in the NBA, quite often.
Yeah.
Like, can you create a super team with all these randos that are good in their own right, but like, they probably don't give a fuck about each other, like off the court or whatever, or don't have any chemistry. But Egypt's got chemistry, and those guys obviously pull hard with each other, and that obviously showed how far they went in this tournament.
Yeah, that's a great point. You see that a lot with the U.S. Olympic basketball team. Like, in theory, the U.S. beats everybody by 70, but because all these players, some of them might not like each other.
Yeah.
Very rarely are they in the same team. That, especially defensively, usually on offense, I feel like you can kind of get a little bit of a groove going. I mean, I'm just talking mainly basketball, but if you want to be like a good defensive unit in basketball, you need to be in sync with your teammates. And with a team like Egypt, where you're basically surrendering 70%, 60% possession every game, you need to know, without even speaking, what the guy next to you is going to be doing. And I'd be curious to see how many of those players play for. I think the biggest club is called Al Hilal in Cairo. I'm curious how many of those guys play over there, but I know their goalkeeper.
Is that an Egypt team? I thought that was in.
Oh, was that a Saudi Arabian team?
That's Saudi Arabia.
Oh. Then I forgot what the
Yeah, because they just played in the
Cairo-based club is.
Asian Champions League final. Right?
Oh, yeah, they did. Well, that shows my knowledge of the club football.
Dude, I saw one of the club names is like the Egyptian Bank of Egypt or something like that. Or like
the Egyptian Bank of Egypt.
Yeah, like I didn't know if that was like a legit team or if like he's on like some like pro bank.
Wow.
I fuck if I know, but I mean,
it sounds like that team got bailed out by the bank, and they were like, "All right,
they're like,
we can't pay you back, but here's what we can do.
Right.
We'll name the team after you." And they were like, "Fine, fuck it, let's move forward." Anyways, I don't really have anything else to say about AFCON. Overall, I was pleased with the tournament. I like the chaos. I don't like predictability in sports. I like that we never really knew what was going to happen with this tournament. I did expect a bit more from the tactics and structure of the team. You know, the commentary, I'm not going to go into that again, abysmal. And I think if they really want to make AFCON a tournament that's more popular and more widely consumed, the production value has to go up because it has to be something that a casual wants to watch. And, you know, we call ourselves American casuals, but we watch more soccer or football than the average American for sure.
Definitely.
And even we're struggling to, like, get through these games because, like, it's a snooze fest. It's like the Golf Channel. I don't know. I guess I'll summarize with our brackets really quick. Connor's bracket was absolute ass. He only had one semifinalist correct. That was Cameroon, who he had losing the third place match, which they would end up winning. I had the most semifinalists correct, and I got the third and fourth place correct. But unfortunately, my winners, Morocco, lost in the quarterfinals to Egypt. Jake, you had 2 out of 4 correct. But you eventually had the winner, Senegal. You had them beating Morocco, I believe. So we both kind of got fucked on that pick. Overall, I mean, I ain't mad about it. I ain't mad about it. What'd we go overall? We got 6 for 12, 50% overall semifinals.
Pretty good for ain't knowing shit about it.
That's pretty good for being like Cape Verde. Where the hell is that? So I'm proud of ourselves for that. Big pat on the back. You guys let us know in the comments what you thought about this edition of AFCON. You know, follow us over on Twitter at Yankee Football Pod. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. This will be on streaming platforms on Apple Music and Spotify. If you're listening on those right now, give the podcast a 5-star review. Share with your friends. Share with anybody who'd like football content like this. Jake, you got any closing thoughts?
No, looking forward.
Goodbyes?
I think looking forward to the next one and on to qualifiers for everyone.
On to qualifiers. We will probably make a video about those AFCON final games when they happen. I need to check the calendar. But if you want to see that, turn on the notification button so you don't miss it. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.